Yeah, sir. Three, two, and go.
Welcome to my session on decision management, the universal driver for value creation. Thank you, participants, for joining me and viewing my video. Essentially, this is a guest lecture session as a part of the Knowledge Pool series of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. Let me, at the very outset, introduce myself. My name is Paritosh Basu. I'm presently a senior professor of NMIMS University School of Business Management. But before finishing my corporate life, I used to teach as a visiting faculty member of Calcutta University Management School, that is IIS WPM. And also, I used to teach as a visiting faculty member on Sunday morning at NMIMS University School of Business Management. At that time, of course, it was not an university. It was an institution and it was affiliated to Bombay University. Now, by itself, it is presently an university. But before joining the academic world completely, I have completed 34 years of my career in corporate life. My last two assignments have been as the global group controller of SR Group when they were in their best of performance days between 2008 to 2013. And before that, between 2 to 2008, I was the CFO of Reliance Communications Limited, which is also not doing well. But again, I was in their heydays. I left them when their share price was around 632. Academically, I'm a Master of Commerce from Calcutta University. I'm a fellow member of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India and also a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I'm also a life member of Computer Society of India. Finally, while I was in service, after 20 years of my MCOM, CA, and CWA, I completed my PhD in transfer pricing from Calcutta University. So that's a brief introduction of mine. If you want to connect with me, you can connect with me through my Twitter handle, which is @Paritosh Basu, or you can connect with me uh, through LinkedIn. As we speak here, I have about 14,500 plus connections in LinkedIn. So let me start. I'll be using a lot of graphics which are easily available from internet and cyberspace. I am grateful to those authors and graphic designers. Thank you so much, but I'm using this for only propagation of knowledge. Time permitting, we'll try and cover these few items. My topic, as you have seen, decision management, the universal driver for value creation. Through this particular topic, I would like to cover a large number of dimensions of a business manager's life when he takes decision. What is he going to do? How is he is going to take decision? What are the things he is going to look at? What are the things he is going to analyze? Those are the things I'm going to discuss and share with you. Time permitting, in 2 hours, let me see how much I can cover. So these are the things I'm going to cover. I'm going to cover the decision management as a subject was essentially it is. Then since decision management as a business manager you do for adding value to your business and adding value to your stakeholders, I'm going to I'm going to talk about various building blocks of decision management for value creation. And then we will get into the decision management as a subject, adopt actionable approaches, avoid 8 traps, liberate from bounded rationality, observe 6 C's of decision management, and follow boundaries of corporate governance. And finally, would like and talk to risk management a bit. time permitting, I'll talk about decision management connected with sustainability management. So that's the structure of our talking today. Essentially, when you take a decision, you bite the sources. When I say bite the sources, you chew all the information available for you to take a decision, all these subject matters of decision, and finally, through the decision, every every business manager, every corporate professional would like to reach the apex of his or her lifetime achievements. So between the biting the sauce and reaching the apex of management, the whole thing lies in your thinking process. Thinking is pretty much important, and throughout the session of now, I'm going to take you for a lot of thinking materials. Let me, at the outset, talk to you about what essentially is decision management. Decision management, you take a decision because of two things in life. First, you have an opportunity in front of you, so you take a decision to ensure that you make best use of the opportunity and avail of it for improving your organizational perspective and organizational performance. The second is you take a decision because of a threat is in front of you. You want to mitigate the threat. You want to come out of the threat. Now, when you take a decision, you essentially decide about two things. And I want to read this definition. Decision making is the process by which managers respond to opportunities and threats by analyzing options and making decision about goals and course of actions. So you are faced with an opportunity or a threat, you are in front of it, maybe 10 days ahead or 10 months ahead. If you are doing a long range planning, 10 months ahead. In front of you, there is an opportunity and there is a threat. So what is you are going to do? You are going to think of that by meeting this opportunity and threat, what are the objectives I'm going to achieve? What are my goals? And this is the first decision you take. What are my goals? When I'm going to take a decision to meet the opportunity or mitigate the threat. And second thing, when I take the decision, what is the process by which I will be taking and the decision and executing the decision? So you do two decisions. One is you decide about the goals and objectives of this decision, and second you decide about these processes, resources, and the steps by which you execute the decision. So decision management is nothing but taking decision in terms of setting goals against against an opportunity or a threat, and in terms of deciding the processes and steps by which you'll execute the decision to achieve the goal you have decided to achieve. Let's remember Lyndon B. Johnson at this stage. Doing what is right is not hard. Many people can do the right thing in the right way. But what is the right thing? Knowing that what is the right thing, that's the most difficult thing. So once you have taken a decision for an opportunity and risk, don't think that your life is going to be hunky dory going ahead. It will not be, because competitors are ahead of you, always with you. They will erase your present good position by your decision. So you have to be continuously in search of opportunities and threats. That is the most important thing in life. So please do remember that decision making is nothing but deciding about the goals to be achieved for an opportunity or a risk in front of you. And finally, it also talks about the process by which you will execute the decision so that you achieve the objective. So here is a very interesting thought. If you can read it, I'm reading it on behalf of you. The great enrichment. If I have $1 and if you have $1 and we exchange, we have $1 each. But if I have one idea and if you have one idea and we exchange, we have two ideas each. It does mean that when you exchange money, you you lose and gain the same value. But when you exchange idea, you don't lose anything. You gain the other person's idea. So so the most important thing in the process of decision making is to use collective wisdom. That means you don't take the decision in an autocratic manner, except in situation of crisis where you have no time. You take the decision in a collaborative manner so that your decision on your most effective, and you pick up the brains of people who are associated with your business. This is the foundation of sustainable business performance management. When I say that you exchange ideas. And another very important point, which is there in your screen, millions saw the apple falling. Newton asked why. You have to keep on asking why such a thing is happening. Unless you keep asking, there will be no clarity in front of you, and you will not get the appropriate answer. You will not get to know what is the cause of a thing happening in a business ecosystem, and accordingly you may have to be careful. If you keep asking question, it will be easy for you to innovate. The more innovative mind you have, the more better decision you will take, and more the better decision you will take, the more you will be able to add value to your organization. So I read it again for concluding the screen. If I have $1 and if you have $1 and we exchange, we have $1 each. If I have one idea and if you have one idea and we exchange, we have two ideas each. Maybe the second idea or the first idea is not that effective than the other one. But ideas are ideas. Today it may not be useful, tomorrow it may be useful. So ideas are very important to be collected and very important to be understood. So let's go to the next screen. It's a very interesting thing. I'm a 66 years old person, so an old man like me is saying the first step to solve a problem is to begin. Good beginning is half done. That means you do not procrastinate any decision. Do not postpone any decision. If you have to take a decision, please take it. Please move ahead. It does not necessarily mean that you have to hurriedly take a decision. You have to take the decision at the appropriate time, at the appropriate opportunity for the appropriate execution. But it should not be such that you keep on postponing the decision and you miss the opportunity, or a threat comes to you and causes damage to your organization. So the first step is to solve a problem, is to begin. Good beginning is half done. Be clear about your objectives. Unless you are clear what you want to do, what goal you want to achieve in front of this opportunity or on the face of the threat, you will not be able to take a proper decision, or you will be doing a wishy-washy job. Next point is think twice before you do. When you take a decision, you should not jump into it. Please think twice. Please try and understand what are the pros and cons of this decision. Do I have any other option, any other alternative by which I can execute the decision, etc., etc. Think twice before you do. And finally, no risk, no gain. If you don't take a decision and keep yourself idle minded, don't take any decision, then there will be no gain to you. So you have to essentially take a decision and move ahead. So the objective of this session is to help you what is the best way to take the best decision so that you move ahead with sustainability. Here is a story. I love telling stories to students. So let me give you this very interesting story. Here is a story of a boy who went to Nainital, city of Nainital, which is a hill station, in the month of January. It was chilly cold there, hill station, and this boy is, as you can see, is very well cladded with his old garments, woolen garments, but he doesn't have a cap. He has lost his cap. When he has lost his cap, his parents said, okay, morning we'll go to the cap shop and we'll buy a cap. So they were walking through the eastern side of the shop area of Nainital at around 9:30 in the morning hours when shops have opened. When they were walking through the eastern side, they couldn't find any cab shop, which people said that cab shops are there on both sides of the road, both the eastern side and western side of the road, but it is little ahead. So this boy started talking to his father and said that I want to go walk through the western side of the road. I don't want to walk through the eastern side of the road. His father thought that he may be tired. He said, why you don't want to walk through this side?" He said, "No." He couldn't explain why he doesn't want to, but he said, "I have to go to that side." Father tried his best to convince him. We can see both sides of the road, so why you want to specifically want to go to that side? So father couldn't convince him. He kept on naggingly asking, "I want to go to the western side of the road." Then father took over to convince. Mother took over to convince. Mother tried his best. Very seriously, she tried, but she could not also convince. Girls do not mind. Mothers gave him a thappar, but the boy didn't cry. The boy was adamant to go to the western side. My question to you, and I'll give you half a minute to think why this boy wanted to go to western side of the road. Just think for half a minute. I'll keep quiet for half a minute. Think for half a minute. Could you think of the answer? I'll give you the answer. There are possible answers. Students give that cap shop he could find out on the other side, or people say that other side there are more people, more fun, etc. The answer is not. When they were walking through the eastern side of the road, the sun rays were being blocked by the shops, and he was feeling more cold. He mentally thought that if he goes to the western side, the sun rays will directly fall on his body and he will feel more warm. And because of his feeling warm, he will be a little more comfortable. So the moral of the story here is that here is a boy who is trying to take a decision which side of the road he is going to walk through. His objective is to make himself more comfortable. That means he is in a risk of uncomfortable because his cap is not there on head. So he's trying to make him more comfortable by feeling lesser chilly cold. And thus what he did, thus he wanted to go to the western side where sun rays will fall on him directly. What his parents couldn't think of, the child could think of. That's the beauty of the situation. So be careful about taking a decision. Decision making does not necessarily mean that you have to spend money or you have to have resources. At times, without spending money and resources, by just taking a decision, by for utilizing the environment which is all around your business, you can take a better decision which will add value to your life or save you from certain risks. That is the moral of this story. I'm sharing with you a research paper of IBM, which was done in 2010. This research was done in 2010. And I believe in 2020, we are back to that kind of a situation due to COVID-19 pandemic, which is a global crisis. At that time, in 2010, the CFOs of India said that need for faster decision making is the top challenge of the CFOs. In a growing economy, the CFOs of India thought that decision making is the topmost challenge. And you can see the red dotted box where 83% of the people was saying that decision making is the most important thing, most important challenge. Whereas globally, when this research was extended, 74% of the CFO said that decision making is the most important. And I need not super emphasize the requirement that in this COVID-19 situation, where survival is a very big issue and revival is also a very big issue, definitely by decision making is the most important factor. So, whether this research is not there or there, from your own life, you can make out that decision making is very important. Every single moment you take a decision, in morning, whether which route you will follow to go to your office or to your college or go to a school, you take a decision because you have always in mind one thing, that is your objective to be achieved. So if you have to take an objective in front of you, and then that if that objective has to be achieved given the situation of opportunities and threats to be faced by you, please take a decision. And that's the subject matter of our discussion today. In the context of business, and particularly in the context of a finance person, and more particularly in the context of a cost and management accountant, the most important factor of life is a decision management for adding value to the business. Okay, most important factor is decision management for adding value to the business. And when I say adding value to the business, I talk about 7 pillars through which values can be added. And those also I call 7 C's, Sat Samandar, because those are very vast items. But before 7 C's and 7 pillars, you have to have 4 R's in front of you. What are those 4 R's? Right task at the right time with the right process for right value. I say right task, that is the process of executing your decision at the right time, executing the decision at the very right time, following the right process, and for the right value to be created. So, through the process of decision making and decision management, you try to achieve all these 4 rights. If you are in a position to strike all these 4 rights, you are in a position to hit the 7 C's of the world. The first of the 7 C's of the world is quality management, competitive differentiation of your products and services. When I say competitive differentiation, I mean what is different of your product versus your competitor. And unless the quality differentiation is there, you're not going to survive for long. You are going to be a commodity which any other businessman can offer. So the quality, speed, these are the two important things. But suppose you are providing a quality product, but your price is double. That means your cost of manufacturing, delivering the service is double. Let me tell you very, very clearly, it's not going to help you at all. It is not going to help you at all because of a very simple reason. And that reason is nobody is going to buy your product or buy your services. So you have to have a cost leadership also. So leadership in product's life cycle, but before the product dies away or before a better product comes up, you have to be a cost leader. And unless you are a cost leader, you cannot be a product leader also. It means you cannot be number one in the market or number two in the market. Next is volume. Volume gives you competitive advantage. You are a product leader, you are a price leader, but you produce not even 5% of the demand of the market. Nothing going to happen. Unless you purposely decide that I'm not going to increase my business to more than 5% of the market share. Volume is an important game. So quality, cost, and value, these are very, very important. The next is a relationship. In today's world, relationship with the customer, both internal customer and external customer, is very, very important. Let us extend this relationship not only beyond the customer. We have to have a better relationship with all our stakeholders. When I mean by the word I stakeholder, I mean all customers, all vendors, people who are working with us, all people in the society who are around our business, government, regulatory agencies, Every single person in my stakeholders, we have to have a better relation. Next is speed. Whatever we do, we have to do with absolute great breathtaking speed. To achieve speed does not necessarily mean that you compromise quality. To achieve speed does not necessarily mean you spend money and achieve speed. Speed can be achieved by many things. One of the things by which you can achieve speed in today's world is uh, digital transformation. Essentially, let me share with you an information that every month I write a column in the monthly magazine of Institute of Cost Accountants of India, and my column is digital transformation. I've so far written 10 columns, and the latest column, which will be published maybe on Monday in the journal, is how digital transformation is going to look like post COVID-19 pandemic. So digital transformation helps you to achieve speed. Next is flexibility. Uh, Peaks and troughs and multi-directional expansion. Your business should be flexible enough, which has been very well proved now. For COVID-19, almost every business organization was locked down for 45 days, and the speed of unlocking is very slow. So if your business organization is not flexible enough to say allow people to work from home, flexible enough to meet the demand of the market when production was locked down, or flexible enough to quickly restart your business, you are not going to survive in the long run. And finally, sustainable. You cannot be there in the business for 1 year, 2 year. You have to be in the business for prolonged people. So you have to continue to be successful, continue to be growing, continue to be sustaining, and continue to be a higher orbit. So your competitive advantage has to be always sustained. And competitive advantage, what is the advantage today, tomorrow it could be a disadvantage. So you have to continuously look for in search of competitive advantage. So you have to essentially discrete modeling of your performance linked incentive. Why I'm saying that you have to discrete modeling of performance linked incentives? Essentially, a business organization is not run by not run by machines and materials and money. A business organization is run by people. So people only do perform, people only do gain, people only do bring money to the organization, people only decide to spend money and make money out of it. So if those people are not incentivized, there is absolutely no scope for you to sustain in the long run. You can deprive them for a few days or few years, but you cannot keep on depriving them for the limited benefit of the owner. So essentially, you have to work on incentivization modeling. But let me tell you one thing here, that whatever you do in business in terms of these 7 C's and 4 R's, everything cannot be subjective. Nothing, for that matter, nothing can be subjective. Everything should be objective. When I say objective, I mean measurable. When I say cost, it is measurable. When I say volume, it is measurable. When I say relationship, it should be measurable also. Suppose a customer who has given taken money, taken materials from us last 12 months. So we have had 12 invoices. Coming to this year, if I say that first 8 months we have done 2 invoices, that means our relationship may be going sour. So relationship of so any subjective issue, which relationship is a subjective issue, can be converted into an objective measurement also. So if you want to control anything of your business, you have to put a measurable value in front of it. Unless you are in a position to do a measurable judgment, you're not in a position to control and monitor your performance. That's most important. And whenever you do all these things, you have to have a framework ready. When I say framework, you have to have your organizational perspective ready, you have to have your plans ready, policies ready, SOPs ready, you have to have your resource allocation process ready, you have to have your organization structure, hierarchy, delegation of authority, incentivization scheme, salary scheme, recruitment methodology, training and development. Everything you should be having ready. That means you have to take a pervasive decision. If you don't take pervasive decision, you will not be able to in a position to run your business with 4 R's and 7 C's. That is the idea of this particular slide. So, in decision management, always remember that whenever you are taking a decision, it is satisfying at least 4 R's every time, and it is satisfying one or more than one of the 7 C's which are there in this slide. Next is commandment of decision making. On the right hand side of this slide, you can see people are fighting to go onto the top. But you can see the structure here. Every moment you can slip away from the structure when you are climbing to the top, because all the steps are kept on a ball. So be careful when you are. This is what is the situation in business life also. The target is on top, but the structure and the path is very difficult, very challenging. And if you have to lead the show, you have to remember certain things, and those are the things which I'm adding here. Those are the 10 things you have to always remember. The first thing is, whenever you take a decision, be careful also for thinking what may go wrong. We always think that whatever decision I'm taking is going to go right, but also do think that if it can go wrong, how it can go wrong. If it goes wrong, then what we are going to do. So keep your plan B ready, and also keep your say plan A ready, that if something goes wrong, how you will make the business going when things go wrong, and then pass over that and then survive and revive. Next is, you must know what is your organizational realities. You can produce 1,000 tons per month, and if you cannot take 1,500 or 1,200 tons order, assuming that cancellation will take place, so you will be able to. You should be careful about knowing what is your organizational realities. Suppose your planned capacity is 1,000, and you take 1,000 equivalent order per month. You never thought of there could be a plant shutdown, or there could be a sudden risk of plant not operating for a day or 2 days, or there is a machine breakdown, or there is a people strike. So, from the past trend of happenings from your organization's past history, you should be knowing what is your organizational reality, or whether your people can at all achieve with their best of efforts 90% of your plant capacity. 10% can never be achieved. So, organizational reality is very important. Prophesize for long term and bring collective wisdom. That's what I was talking to you, that you should always talk to people, exchange ideas. Particularly, this is important when you are in precarious condition, or when you are in a threat situation. So, when you are in a threat situation, wisdom is very important, and senior people should be consulted. Maybe a consultant you can consult. So your immediate job is revive and then survive and grow, and that is what COVID-19 pandemic is teaching us in a very hard way. The next one is converge towards a framework of risk-enabled performance management. What is risk-enabled performance management? Business will be having risk at every step of it. So whenever you decide about a business process, you decide about such actions which will continue to take care of the risk. I'll give you an example. You know that your factory can go under fire, can go under earthquake, can go under say natural calamities like Amphan or Nisarg, the cyclone which came. So what do? You immediately first insure your assets, so that your capital is protected, capital assets are protected. That's what is very important for you to understand. What are you doing? You are risk enabling. When you are risk enabling, that means your capital assets are not lost. The same way you can do risk enabling of your performance. Suppose when you do credit sales, you give credit to your customer. You don't give credit to your customer blindfoldly. You take a decision that I will be reviewing the customer's credit worthiness. Then only I'll give them credit. And no risk, no gain, I know. So instead of giving them 90 days credit, or instead of giving them 10 crore credit, I'll give them 2 crore credit. Let them buy from other people, or let them give me advance. So credit risk analysis and giving assessed credit to your customer is nothing but risk enabling of your performance management. You want to achieve a certain amount of target of money to be collected, profit to be made, and sales to be made. So all these three objectives, when you do the risk enablement, you do by credit risk analysis of your customers' credit worthiness. And that's what I'm talking about, your framework for credit risk enableness. Next, you treat every single information as a strategic asset. I need not to superemphasize that this is the world of information. Information is power, and power is information. So every single information you should be keeping in your business very secretly, with a protection, and keep doing analysis of this information. If it is a very large information, apply data analytics and artificial intelligence and machine learning. By this process, you will be able to take inference out of those data. I don't want to discuss this. You can read my papers on digital transformation, but information is always a strategic asset. Next is throw away executive summaries, critically examine details. In a process of decision management, suppose you as a CFO or a finance manager, you have a 30-page document and there is a one-page synopsis on it. If you think that you will be reading, you will be taking a decision without going to the details and only reading the on the synopsis, you are in fool's paradise. So I personally feel that one has to get into the details, because the devil lies in the details. Be dispassionate of what is to be dropped, including people, yet ring fence your talents. See, at times we feel very, very passionate to certain things. Oh, this is my old employee, or this is my old machine, or this is how can I get rid of this? Or this department I started with, what happens if it makes loss? Let it make loss, but I will continue. No, drop. You cannot be passionate about anything when it is not doing any good to the business. So drop anything which you need to drop, yet at the same time, ring fence any talent. If you feel that some people are not doing good, but some people are really very good, people who are really very good, who can perform, who are the talented people, they will have a market transfer price. So they will always be poached by your competitor. So ring fencing those talents is very important for you. At times you ignore small things in life and you always look at the big things, but at times small things can save you money. So 10% scrap, wastage, spoilage from your factory, this 10% scrap, if you can convert it into good product, definitely you can make money out of it, because the entire raw material you lose. So look at the systems and processes and your machinery issues which creates vestiges, which are small thing, but don't ignore small thing in life. Small thing can bring you big risk, like record keeping, monitoring information. When you monitor information as a business manager every 7 days or every month, you keep a moral check on your staff कि कोई देखने वाला है, कोई ऊपर वाला दिखता है, so I should not do this, I will be caught. So those small things, those monitoring and controlling is very important. And finally, monitoring, controlling, big picture, data analytics, digital transformation is a very, very important. And the last item, I said that specific realms of the organization. I might have missed anything. Certain specific organization need certain specific area to be looked at, like like in COVID-19, government has very nicely realized that PPE manufacturing and ventilator manufacturing is very important. We have to be self-sufficient on such things. So in that kind of a situation, you take the decision which is specifically needed for your organization. Maybe at this point of time you do not have any digitally savvy employee in your organization. So either you train your people, or you recruit certain digital savvy people or capable people before any take up any digital transformation exercise. That's what I'm trying to say. So you look at the ribbon below at the blue color, sustain value generation skill and not ownership. I repeat, sustained value generation skill and not ownership is the ultimate criteria for occupying the driver's seat. Whether you are a owner of the business or not owner of the business doesn't matter. for you to be a business leader. What matters is that whether you have the business acumen, whether you can take the right decision at the right time for the right cause to achieve the right objective and navigate your organization to the right direction. That's most important. It does mean that you are going to be in the driver's seat if you have those qualities and not the ownership. At times, you will find that family run business are handed over to professional business manager, and that is what many business groups of India, like good old days Bangars, Srirams, and certain builder families, their business has almost extinguished because they tried to keep the business leadership within the business family, but that doesn't work in today's world. So that's most important for you, that you have to have the leadership capability, you have to have the decision making capability. Then only you can reach the top of success here through this unstructured business ecosystem. Now we will take you through what are the guiding principles of value creation through decision management. And essentially, decision management is building the blocks of decision and moving the wheels of profit making. And if you build the blocks properly and make the right wheel move at the right time, you are the guy who are going to be the value addition guy in the business, and you are going to succeed. This is a very important point. I don't know how many you have heard the name of Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is one of the rarest philosopher of the world, whom the world used to call business philosopher. Jim Rohn used to provide philosophy of business, and here is one of his quotes: "You don't get paid for the hour; you get paid for the value you bring to the hour." That means if you feel as a business manager that you are paid for the hour you are working for the company, essentially you are mistaken. You are not paid for the hour. You are paid for the value you bring to the organization. You are paid for the value you bring to the hour. Every hour you spend for your business organization or a corporate organization where you work, every hour is an hour of value creation, and how much value you create in that every hour, that's what matters for you to be paid for. That's most important. Time ticks away and value doesn't come, finally your business doesn't succeed. So whenever you take a decision, you please keep in mind that I have to generate value by this decision. Either I generate value which will add value, or I will stop value destruction. When I say value destruction, there are a lot of wastage taking place. Later, unnecessarily costs are being incurred, unnecessarily spoilages are taking place, unnecessarily we are buying materials at a higher cost, unnecessarily we are allowing people to while away their time. These are all value destructions. So you can create value either by maximizing value or minimizing value destruction. So any decision you take should be either directed towards creating value or minimizing value destruction. And that's what is this slide is. The wheel of shareholders' wealth will keep on moving with more value only when you do maximize your value addition and you do minimize your value destruction. Minimize value destruction, maximize value addition. This will finally increase the shareholders' value. So let's remember Brian Dyson's comment, very important comment for a business manager. Value has a value only if its value is valued. Every single piece of paper which you buy for your photocopying machine has a value. If every year you waste 1,000 pieces of paper, you lose that much of value which you pay for buying that paper. So never ever value to be destructed. That's why I said that do not ignore small things. Small things savings together create certain value. Similarly, when you go for value addition, look at the right hand side of the screen. To reassess impacts of seeds in the womb of time, you have to predict sitting today what the customers are going to ask for tomorrow. What is the society looking for tomorrow? What service I can give? What is there in the womb of time? समय की अंदर क्या दिखता है मुझे जो अगला टाइम में हमसे मांगा जाएगा. हमसे मीन्स मी एज अ बिजनेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. लेट मी प्रिपेयर फॉर दैट. And for that you have to do innovation. Innovation is innovative invention for value creation. You have to be innovative. You have to have something. You do something which nobody has done. That is innovation, in invention and discovery. And finally you create value. So whenever you take a decision, please be careful that you maximize value addition and minimize value destruction. Here's a very important thing. Narendra Modi, after becoming a prime minister, he said, "You should always call a half-filled glass, half-filled water glass, as a statement, not in the right way of saying it. That the glass is half filled with water. When you say half filled water with water, it's a negative statement. You should be always positive in your talking terms to employees and stakeholders. You should be always positive. When I say the glass is completely full, half full with air and half filled with water, that's a positive statement. None of my words are negative. And here lies a business opportunity also. Suppose a mother gives a small glass of water to the child. Mother wants the child to drink the entire glass of water. But the water is absolutely tasteless. So the child doesn't want to. There is a company called Rasna who makes sarbat mix. So Rasna found that if I have to make the child to drink the entire glass of water, I have to make something which makes the water useful to the child, not only from the perspective of he to taste it, but also for his health perspective. So I give mother a small powder pouch, which makes him happy that the child will be benefited internally because the drink is useful for health, good for health, and finally the drink is also make him going to is going to make him drink the whole glass. So successful decision making presupposes positive attitude and proactive approach. If you are not positive, you can't be successful. You will not be able to take a better decision. So on the left hand side, you can see something very interesting. Dear optimist, pessimist, and realist. Well, you guys were busy arguing about the glass of water. I drank it. Sincerely, the opportunist. This is a very, very important point. The opportunist is there who is going to always be looking for opportunity to take advantage of a situation when others are busy in thinking what is to be done with the opportunity in front. Somebody comes and grabs it beforehand. He doesn't take time to think too much. He is a first thinker. So in decision making and decision management, speed up thinking is very, very important. Remember this story. What is the business environment which is coming today in front of us? We need not superemphasize or re-emphasize that there is a huge global competition going on in the world, and this global competition is going to further intensify. It will not reduce. As you know, what is happening in the world with China as of now. The China became the factory of the world, but suddenly China started realizing that the global people are not happy with him. So anything happening in the world, in today's world, when you have, as an Indian country, 30% of Indian economy is dependent on either import or export, because our 30% of our GDP is dependent on our foreign trade. So when anything wrong happens in overseas countries, it can have a coupling effect or destabilizing effect. What is a coupling effect? I'll give an example. When Russia diminished the value of ruble, then we got in India affected, because Indian stock market got very severely affected. This is because of coupling effect. When there was a huge Iraq-Iran war, and the price of oil, crude oil got affected, Indian economy got affected. This is called coupling effect. And what is destabilizing effect? Destabilizing effect is this: suppose COVID-19 is going on, and we are quite largely dependent on certain electronic component and medical drugs on overseas countries, particularly China. Our industries are destabilized because raw materials are not available. So you have to be careful that if your business is dependent on global organization or global business ecosystem, then your decision should be such that your global event should not impact. And if that at all impacts, you have a second line of thinking, a second line of protection for not allowing your business to be affected. That's what we are thinking of self-dependent India. The technology explosion leading to faster delivery at customer sees. Let me give you a very interesting point of smartphones. When BlackBerry invented their phone, that you are in a position to browse the web and look at your mails through your handset phone, BlackBerry's got 95% of the high-end handset market. But suddenly Apple iOS came and Android came. They could offer more than more than those features of BlackBerry in a phone, much better feature and much quality feature with much better speed. BlackBerry suddenly saw that their market shares had started dwindling down because technology explosion has made them obsolete. So you should be careful in your decision management. You should be continuously uh, scanning the environment, what is happening vis-a-vis your product and your services. And decision management is also a decision management through scanning the environment. You should be careful of what is happening in the environment for taking a decision. Consumerism and manifold option to choose from. Here, interesting point is that earlier for any product type there used to be one or two types of products. I'm in 66 years of age. I can now realize we used to have only Colgate toothpaste and Dabur Lal Dant Manjan. Today, how many toothpaste do you have in front of you? Everything has got so many options, and there are two sectors of those areas: consumer fact, the organized sector and the MSME sector. Take the case of Bata. Bata shoe was kind of a monopolist in organized sector shoemaking, but today MSME has given a good run to Bata for their money. Similarly, biscuit industry. Hindustan Liver is suffering badly because local biscuits are more popular than organized sector biscuits, or Britannia biscuits is totally threatened. So consumerisms are are going into local choice. So products are very easily available from MSME sector and local sector. So if you are taking decision on behalf of your large organization, be very careful of what you are doing. So essentially, when you are doing a business decision in terms of your cost and price, your earlier formula of price is equal to cost plus return to be given to the given to the money or owners, money givers or owners, that formula will not work. And another formula also will not work, that cost plus profit is equal to price. No, when I say cost, I also do not know whether in my cost I have many cost factors which are due to my inefficiency. So I cannot say that I have inefficiencies and inefficiencies. So my inefficiencies are also included in product price, and my efficiencies are also included in product price. So whatever my cost is there, to that I need 15% return on my capital. So I need this much of profit to be earned. So I need, this is the price. Whether you take it or leave it, that is not the situation in the market today. In market, price is determined this way. the market decide what is the price the customer is ready to pay for a product, because customer has got plenty of choices. Customer has got you have got plenty of competitors, so they are going to continuously monitor what is your price, at what price, what kind of product you are selling. Similarly, you have been given loan by lenders and you have been given capital by shareholders. They will always look for a certain sum of return to them. So essentially, the cost which you have to be careful about for producing a product is the amount which is left from your sell price after giving the required return to the owners and the lenders. So your customers decide the price what they will pay. Your lenders and owners decide the money which they need. So sell price, you do not determine the sell price. You do not determine the profit. Both are determined by the lenders, owners, and the customer who is buying the product. You are told that this is the cost by which you have to manage the product, and beg borrow steal, you have to manage the product manufacturing at that cost, because unless you make profit, you are not going to survive in business. So the most important thing is manage performance and cost, else move away from competition. If you are not in a position to manage your performance and cost, you have to go move away from your competition. That's very, very important. So what is the formula you apply? You apply this formula: utility, that is the value you create through your product, the customers perceives utility, divided by cost. The result should be more than one. That means result divided by cost. The result means utility divided by the customer divided by the cost, that is the price which he pays. That means customer should always get more value than the cost he pays by buying the product from you. So you should be always creating value for the customer, leaving your price at a price point which is lower than what he is ready to pay. So how do you maximize your value? So maximizing value, that means you can make one more than one by minimizing your cost. So more the result, lesser the cost, more the maximization of value. So you can reduce cost either by your measure or your actions, or you can reduce cost by stopping wherever there is leakage of cost, there is value destruction, there is wastage, there is spoilage, there is pilferage, which are controllable. So what do you do? You try and find out what are the items which drives my cost. Is it raw material drives my cost? Is it my production capacity drives my cost? Is it my production time drives my cost, etc., etc.? So whatever is the driver, if that driver is not functioning properly, you achieve a suboptimal result, and that suboptimality can be removed by the decision making process. You have to essentially get into the factors of production. You have to essentially analyze all your information which are there, you are generating every day in your process of doing business operations or manufacturing operation. Continuously reflect on the data, look at the data where things are going wrong. When you look at the data, don't look at finance data for finance sake, or operation data for operation sake, or marketing data for marketing sake. Do cross functioning of data analysis. When I say cross functioning, HR will say my labor cost is so many million rupees. Marketing will say my turnover is so many million rupees. So you say cross functionally, for every 1 million of HR cost, that is people cost, how much million sale we achieve. That could be a criteria for you to monitor your turnover versus manpower cost. Or same could be per unit of capital employed in the business. So essentially, when you understand where you are going wrong by your analysis, you will be able to find out an innovative solution to it. And when you want to find out it, you have to improve your capability. Capability improvement is very, very important. And all these things can take place when you take your decision making process to that kind of scientific level, where you look at every aspects of a decision with a toothpick and a tooth comb. Because if you take decision hurriedly without getting into the details and nuances of everything, you are going to make mistake. So the trend is visible. You have no business to be in the business of doing business unless you create sustainable value. Let me put it this way: you have no business to be in the business of doing business unless you know business. So how do you know business? You know business only when you know how to create sustainable value. So you have no business to be in the business of doing business unless you know business. Get replaced by, you have business to be in the business of doing business if you know how to create sustainable value. That's the most important point in decision management. So, therefore, critically important objective in the process of decision making are sustainable value creation, timeliness, and innovations, minimizing suboptimalities, and minimizing value destruction. I repeat, critically important objectives in the process of decision making are sustainable value creation, timeliness, and innovations. Innovations mean innovative inventions, minimizing suboptimalities, and minimizing value destruction. Let me add one more item to it. Let me add here fragility. What is fragility? Fragility means ability to create agile strategy. That means through your decision making, you have to have the ability to be agile. Agile means you must be careful, conscious about what is happening around. If you are not, if you do not understand what is happening around, you are not in a position to be agile. And this is a word I have coined: fragility. And innovation is also a word coined by me. It is innovative, inventive, and creative. Innovation, invention, and creation. And only these things can help you to do minimization of suboptimalities and minimization of value destruction. Before we go to this slide, we are giving a pause for a few minutes, 2 minutes. Meantime, you can reflect on this slide. Okay, let's get into this. what is an organizational reality today? Organizational reality comes from the vision, and I said that you should be aware of organizational realities. अपनी औकात को समझना चाहिए. Organizational reality comes from vision, mission, and value system of the organization. When I say vision, mission, and value system, I mean to say these are the items which are generally central leadership teams area. They decide what is the organization vision, what they want to be, what is important to them, and why do they exist. So if when these things are decided by the top management, that is the board of directors or the owners of the business, the senior level people, they decide about the strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, and challenges of the organization, which leads the strategy. That is what they plan for achieving business growth and business sustainability. And according to this strategy, they create the balance scorecard, that is the implementation focus. The balance scorecard here means the allocated job responsibility with designed, measured values. Suppose I say that marketing department, I'll give them 10% more of their marketing expenses as compared to last year, but I need a sales growth of 20% with 15 days reduction in collection time. Essentially, you are deciding a scorecard for your marketing department. Similarly, you are giving a message to your operations department that 15% sales profit has to come in, and that is not only the responsibility of the marketing guy. There you have to also bring in cost reduction. So you have to also give us your strategy. So essentially, when you talk about the strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, and challenge, deciding my balance scorecard, that is the responsibility of the business manager, you have to strategic initiatives. Means what are they going to do to achieve what they have been asked to achieve? When they give you these strategic initiatives, those strategic initiatives will be essentially implemented by the people at the field. So the people at the field will always think that my objective will match with the organizational objective, and I will feel motivated when I see that the organization is growing, I'm also growing. My growth objective is met by the organization's goal objective, and we are in tandem. So whenever you take a decision, please understand the alignment of these three levels. The first level is your board of directors, the second level is your CXOs and their immediate reports, and the third level is your weakness, opportunity, threat, and challenges of the organization. So essentially, what is your scorecard? And when the people who actually will do the job, they have to be aligned with the individual work performance objective has to be in the same alignment. If that alignment is possible, you will be able to see that processes will be effective, and people will be motivated. Really revisit this pyramid, that whether system of the company, whether I'm flouting the business strategy which I'm supposed to follow, am I giving a very good service, am I giving a very good quality, and finally, are organizational objectives aligned with the people objectives? If this alignment doesn't take place, and every time you take a decision, particularly long term decisions are not going to be This is another very interesting how to make a successful decision. Just look at the graph. On the horizontal axis, we are measuring the percentage change in turnover. Last year, I was the I had 15% change in turnover. And on the y-axis, we are taking 10% return on sales, or say 25% return on sales. This year, I have 30% return on sales. That means, as compared to last year, my percentage change in return increased from 25 to 30. That means 5% increased over 25%. That means 20% change in return came from 20% change in return came from 10% change in turnover. That means I am in zone A. So COVID-19 has pushed everybody to zone B. That is, percentage change in turnover will people don't know well, how much sale will drop down or how much sale will increase, except for those items which are in bad demand today, pharmaceuticals item, medical items, etc., etc. Let's not talk about those items. And what is the return? What is the cost of production? So at any point of time, when you take a decision, you should be careful that whatever you decide, it should give you more percentage change in return than percentage change in turnover. That means it should add additional value as compared to the growth in turnover. So your objective should be always from moving from zone B to zone A. If you move to zone A at a lower percentage of turnover change, you will be able to do a higher percentage of return change. So decision one of the objectives of decision management is to ensure that percentage change is return is higher than the percentage change in turnover. So what do you have to do? You have to continuously do a trend analysis, map your present position, fix the strategic intent, and take the initiative action so that you move from zone B to zone A. So what is happening now is important for you to understand. What will happen tomorrow in terms of business environment change, that also is to be understood. But despite business ecosystem changes favorably or not favorably, your decision objectively to would be to take higher return. That's the most important thing. So essentially, whenever you take a decision, I told you that you have to do a risk-enabled decision. Means that I gave you the example of credit period allowed to customers 45 days to 60 days or 60 days to 45 days. Essentially, what you are talking about this slide. See, this is your risk and this is your target return, where your risk is equal to your target return. Suppose you have decided that I will not take any risk. I will go to large corporate bond or government bond, and I'll be happy to have return with 7 to 9%. So you go for corporate bonds and government bonds, and to a certain extent you go for uh, equity investment or mutual fund who gives you schemes in equity. But the moment you feel that your risk is more, your risk line, you have your appetite to take risk is more. The moment you take more risk, and and your this is the return you are happy to take without any risk. This is the return flow you want to take without any risk. And if you are moving up in the risk ladder, then you should be taking higher return. It does mean that whenever you take a business decision, please be conscious about your risk. If you are uh, talking about more risk, you should be talking about more return also. So risk return trade-off is a very important concept. Let's go to the next slide. So when you do a risk return trade-off, you have to essentially keep a target for your employees. Suppose this is the effort of people on the horizontal axis, and on the vertical axis you have achievement of people. And this is what is the management expectation. If the management expectation is in zone A, people will say, oh no, I can do much better than what management expecting of me. So they will push management ki, nahi, nahi, I'll do better, give me better result. So management gives him better reward and gives him a better target. But as the management and the workmen, that is people and the owners tug of war keeps going on, and the effort level to achieve a certain amount of targets moves from easy zone to difficult zone, people pull their performance up to this point. After that, any additional effort doesn't yield much of a generate result. Well, result remain the same, efforts increases, so it becomes a plateau. And after a certain period of time, the law of diminishing returns starts and employee performance reduces. This is a very famous graph created by Professor G.H. Hofstede's group, which studied Fortune 500 companies. So essentially, when you take a decision for setting the target for your employees, which your decision is going to be implemented, don't set a target in an area which is in the easy zone or which is towards the end of the difficult zone. Uh, Towards the end of the difficult zone, at this stage, your turnover will increase, but your profitability will not increase that much. So the target you fix for your employees should be between this, in terms of your effort, should be between this and this. And in terms of achievement, it will stagger here. So here lies the trick of your decision making where the line is flat. Here management has to come in with their own contribution to the system. So, suppose digital transformation is brought in here, or management comes up with certain capital expenditure, which will suddenly push the green line into little higher. So people will be achieving certain impossible achievements without much of an effort. So this difficult zone will gradually go into impossible zone, and the easy zone will gradually go into the difficult zone. So decision management has to be attempted to reduce the difficulty level of employees. It cannot be that they will always depend upon employees' effort. They have to understand that employees' effort will definitely be there, but employees should not be pushed to a situation that they feel that management is pushing us to a situation which हमसे हो ही नहीं सकता. It's impossible for me to achieve. Management has to come up and give certain contribution from their side to improve this performance, and that's the most important thing here. So the employee performance have to be moved in such a manner through your decision that difficult areas goes into impossible area, and as you more go into impossible area, you start adding more value to your organization. And this is where externalities come in decision management. Externalities, I mean stakeholders, and stakeholders are represented here by the society, government, customers, vendors, employees, people who are around you, like the gas leak took place in the factory around the place, and of course the banks, everybody. So here is the society which is benefiting and harmed because of your decision, and here is the enterprise which is benefit and getting harmed because of your decision. If the enterprise gets benefits but society gets harmed, you are sucking the society. If the society is harmed and the enterprise is also harmed, you are a terrorist. Nobody is getting benefited. So one day the terrorist has to die. If the society benefits but you are harmed, that means you are making the society benefited at the cost of yours. You become a martyr. You take the case of Amazon.com. 32 years they have benefited the society, by giving the product at a lower cost and reaching it to their house, they have not benefited because 32 years they have made loss. But that was e-commerce, and today they are making profit. So now they are win-win. But for that matter, don't think that you will be able to also continue with the business with 32 years loss. That was a new field of business altogether, and people kept on investing, knowing that after some time they will get a lot of return. And that's what COVID-19 has again proved, that e-commerce is here going to stay and going to proliferate. So parasites will not be able to suck for long. Terrorists will be killed in no time. Martyr will bleed to death, and successful strategy will create the win-win situation where society will be benefited and the enterprise also will be benefited. So exclusive reliance on financial indicator promotes short-term behavior that sacrifices long-term value for short-term performance. You should be having a look both for your short term and long term. Your short term behavior sacrifices should be such that you get long term benefit. So this is market Michael Porter said, exclusive reliance on financial indicators promotes short term behavior that sacrifices long term value. Your short term and long term must be properly balanced. It should not be such that short term you keep bleeding and you cannot even survive in the long term because you don't have money to survive. So essentially, you have to keep thinking how the short term and long term has to be benefited and blessed. So please be careful that short term and long term are properly taken care of in your business decision. You are not taking a short term decision for not surviving in long term. You are taking a short term decision for surviving in the short term, reviving in the medium term, and growing in the long term. That is what is most important for a business decision management. Now, what do you have to do for that? This is what is important for you to understand. Again, the Johari window concept. This is your competitor and this is the organization where you are the businessman. Look at this. If the organization knows something, you know, and the competitor also know, it's a public knowledge. When there is public knowledge, there is no profit. Like dal, chawal, atta, एक standard भाव में चलता है. It's a public knowledge. It's a commodity type of a business. You don't have to do much, something very interesting or something very innovative to survive in those kind of industry. But if your competitor knows, but you do not know, you as an organization do not know, then that is your blindness. That means your competitor knows something. The competitor can see an opportunity and make profit, but you can't see. So you are blind. What is known to your organization, but your competitors doesn't know, that is the unique strength of yours. Your competitor doesn't know, but you know, so that will be unique strength. But be careful about one thing. A unique strength is not going to remain a unique strength. In the long run, unique strength also will become public knowledge. So what essentially you will be doing? Through your business decision, you should always try and move to unexplored area. And that's what is Apple is doing. Apple is continuously generating new product or introducing new software into their phone and new features in their phone, so that the phone is always becoming a primary item than their competitors. Otherwise, a best of the best Samsung phones are available at 60 to 70,000, whereas an Apple phone is about a lakh. Why people still pay for it? That is because Apple is always on the unexplored area. So that's most important, that you should be, through your decision, always try to create some knowledge of your organization which your competitors will take to time that knowledge. So unique strength will lie in knowing what the competitors do not know, and strive to move the unexplored area to achieve a state of readiness for proactively delivering what the society will ask for tomorrow. This is where the society will ask for tomorrow. So Uber thought that society will not be able to afford, or why should a society afford a car? Society should hail a car. So Meru, when Meru came, you used to book the through internet, through email, or through phone about 6 hours before. You used to book a car. Uber thought, no, no, 10 minutes before people will look for a car. Why? People will plan for half a day before for getting a car. So they get into the unexplored area of giving you an app of telephone based app which you can use to hail your car. So they got into the unexplored area which Meru could not go into. And Meru's business is almost shut off today. That's most important. So look at the ribbon at the bottom. The only limit to your realization of tomorrow will be your questions of today. So continuously keep asking question to yourself. Am I taking the right decision? Am I taking the decision keeping the future in mind? Am I asking the proper question that is it my vision, mission aligned? Am I asking a proper question that what the customer is looking forward from me tomorrow? I'm meeting today's values fine, but what the customer is looking tomorrow. That's what it is important. When Captain Gopinath came out with Deccan Airlines, Captain Gopinath thought that it is not my objective to give good food when a person is airborne. My objective is to reach a person from place A to place B on time at a reduced price. So he started Deccan Airlines where there is no food used to be served. We call no frill, because if you have to serve food, you have to load food at the point of airport where you are taking off. Loading food is a very time consuming phenomena. Moreover, if the food is not good, you will earn an image unnecessarily. So stick to your business. Your business is reaching the person at the right time to the right place from one place where he is boarding. So a simple thinking change about the business created another business line which is called no frill airlines. So always keep on thinking that way. What exactly is my business? Is secondary objective become receiving my primary attention? First let me achieve the primary objective of my business, then go for the secondary objective. So what are the long-term key drivers of your value for money? High capital output ratio. By deploying 1 crore of rupees, how much money I can generate, how much production I can generate. Next question is, do I have to do everything? If a car manufacturer start producing all 600 components required for a car, he will never be able to produce a car. So what he does, he outsources. So today in your decision making, you can also think of which are the items which I can outsource and thus reduce my costing. Whole life asset costing. Next is, if I buy an asset, what is my total cost of running the asset? So when you must have heard senior people saying, don't buy this car is cheap now, but your maintenance cost will be very high, like diesel car. So one time cost of procuring an asset is not important. Whole life asset costing is also important. So don't be foolish in terms of selecting a certain asset and allocating your cost money to that asset without thinking that in the long run, when I run the asset for producing business goods and services, whether I'll be spending more. Economies of scale. I should not run a Ferrari car at the speed of an ambassador. It means that I have created a capacity for 10,000 tons per annum, and I am producing 5,000 tons per annum. That means I am running a Ferrari in the speed of an ambassador or a Fiat car. So economies of scale, running an organization at the appropriate level of capability and capacity is very, very important. Next is procurement. When you take a decision regarding procurement, please think of the benefit of volume and inputs and utilities. Benefit of volume means you should be procuring in such quantities from such people that you get a better price, and you also buy the right item at the right price at the right value from the right source. And these four R's make you helps you to decide about your procurement. So decision management should be focused on different things for different items, like capital output ratio when you are talking about production capacity versus production outsourcing, when you are thinking about creating your own facility versus outsourcing some facility. Whole life asset costing is present cost of buying versus future cost of running. Operations, that is volume. Procurement, right material at the right time for the right source at the right value. Capital structure risks, you don't take too much of debt. That's what has happened in India. People kept on taking debt without injecting equity, and NPS galore came in. So single point responsibility, whenever you take a decision, don't make it everybody's baby. Give the decision implementation responsibility to a person or a group of person with a leader assigned as the group leader. So don't give collective responsibility to take collective decision, but responsibility to be personified. Give him sufficient authorities. So decision management should again keep in view that the decision which I am taking, am I myself having the authority to take the decision? Am I myself having the authority to allocate the resources to execute the decision? Am I myself having the authority to assign responsibility to a person who will execute it? That is the first single point of responsibility. That is the authority fixation. And second, the person on whom I am giving the responsibility to execute, is he capable of executing? Or if I give the same responsibility, same item to be executed by 3%, are there scope of passing the buck by each one to the other one? So single point of responsibility is a driver for value. Innovation, of course, we are hearing much, so I don't want to talk. Innovation is very important. The right way of doing the right thing, that is what is innovation is. Doing it little differently than what the competitor does, that is what is innovation is. Giving certain additional features than what the competitor can provide through the product, that's an innovation feature. So systems, processes, and their application in execution, that's innovation in terms of product process. Competition and competitor, domestic and overseas. I should be always, through my decisions, staying ahead of your competition. That's most important factor for me to decide. Risks, manage, transfer, and avoid repetition of mistakes. If I find and suffered in the past about a risk which I have not managed properly, or I should have thought through that risk and I should have taken action before that risk came and hit me, I'm a fool. So you should be always thinking of risks that I told you now. At the beginning, I told you that make the decision maker aware of the risks going forward from that decision. That's very important. Prioritize, embed into plan, and take actions to create more values. Prioritize, embed into plan, and take actions to create more values. So when you have to take 5 decisions, you must decide which is the most important decision I have to take first. It's not that I can procrastinate, keep on postponing decision, but it could be possible that I have a limited resource, limited time, limited capability. So I need to decide which is my priority. And that's what is the first important thing I should do first. So this priority you have to embed in your decision making process. So this is what Adrian Montagu said, who was the deputy chairman of partnership in UK. So keep remembering that these are the 10 drivers of long-term decision values, and you should keep in mind when you take a decision for long-term perspective. This is another aspect of decision management. Very interesting picture and very interesting thinking. At the top is your brain, and here it is your data, your available information on the basis of which you are going to decide what you are going to do, how you are going to do, what objective you are going to set, who to whom you are going to give the responsibility, and by what time this result has to be seen by you. These are all from the past experience you analyze and find out. Then you get into a principle called ant philosophy. What is end philosophy? End philosophy means, very simple point, end philosophy means uh, I must carry more weight than my body weight. The ants carry 20 times more weight than their body weight. That does mean that I should be deploying lesser resources to achieve higher values. And for that, I will make my thinking power as the power to carry the weight. So my willpower, my compassion, my ethics, my emotional intelligence will help me to carry more weight than my actual, which is possible to be carried. And if I can do this, I can do success, meet success. So think, analyze, carry more weight than what you are capable of carrying through innovation, invention, thinking process, and finally you meet success. So thinking is the keynote of success, analyzing is the keynote of success, achieving higher result with lower deployment of resources is the key string. You are a good decision maker. So, what are the general management point of view in decision making? Now, let us summarize what we have discussed so far in 10 points. I'll give these students to read it for a minute. কড়া কফি কুকু যেটা নতুন কফিটা এনেছে ওইটা কুকু কড়া কফি ঠিক আছে কড়া হ্যাঁ So what have you seen? You have seen the 10 steps of taking a decision. Let's quickly go through this slide because we don't have much of more time, about 15 minutes time in hand to finish this session. Define objectives and goals to be achieved. We have discussed all this. We are quickly going it through. Define the problems to be resolved. Study the internal and external realities. अपनी औकात को समझो. Develop alternative courses of actions. I can solve a problem through various courses of actions. Which one I must adopt? To critically define and give due consideration to limiting factors. I should define what are the critical aspects of my decision making and which are the areas which can define the limitations of my result. Which are the limiting factors? Is capacity the limiting factor? Is availability of raw material the limiting factor? Is my productivity is limiting factor? Or availability of working capital is my limiting factor? What is stopping me to get more business? Or is it that I cannot produce because my machines are all 100% run? So critically define the critical factors or limiting factors. Select the appropriate decision making tools. How do I decide? Is it that only turnover is my decision analysis of turnover, or is it the analysis of profit, or is it that how much production I do, or is it that uh, uh, I said I'm in a seasonal industry, so my demands start spiking from August to and finishes in January. So I produce only in spiking time and don't produce in the idle time. I do not have working capital. These are some of the issues which you have to look at. So you have to look at the decision making tools. Like in these days, decision making tools are artificial intelligence, machine learning, and you do not depend upon your past year's result will be creating your new next year results. You should be thinking of applying your data analytics to understand what is going to happen in future. Visualize the resource requirement for executing. You have everything good, but you do not have the money to execute. Nothing is going to happen. So understand the differences between decisions made to be executed under projected market conditions. So you have to understand that the decision which I am taking, and the decision which I am going to execute, what will be the market condition? Is it that it's going to be a certain market condition? Is it that it's going to be uncertain? Or is it we have a lot of internal, there is certainty is there or uncertainty is there? Let's assume uncertainty is not there, certainty is there, but risks are also there. If these risks are taken care of, the certainty of result is there. So essentially you have to assess what is the market condition under which you are operating. Understand the need and importance for creativity and innovation. uh, uh, Traditional way of doing business is not going to yield result in the future. So you have to essentially think of what is the so most important thing you need to understand that what is the thing which I can do a little better way, a little creative way, a little innovative way. So when you do that, finally you evaluate your defined alternative and choose the best course of action. So keep this 10 general management point of view in time, which is at the cost of reputation. It will be good to do. Define objectives and goals to be achieved. Define the problems to be solved. Study the internal and external realities. Develop alternative courses of actions. Critically define and give due consideration to limiting factors. Select appropriate decisions making tools. Visualize the resource requirements for executing the decisions. Understand the difference between decision made and to be executed under projected market conditions of certainty, uncertainty, and internal external risks. Finally, understand the need and importance of creating creativity and innovation. Evaluate defined alternatives. After all 9 points, finally you have the alternatives in front of you. Choose the right alternative at the right time for the right decision. Steps in the decision making process. Another set of 10 points. Very interestingly, these all of us we have discussed this in the past minutes. Let's do summarize. Define relevant and irrelevant cost and revenues. A decision which I am taking, I must take only the relevant cost and relevant revenues. Suppose I'm producing certain products from 4 different assembly lines in the same factory premises, and my factory and assembly line number 3 is not generating proper profit. What I will do if I have having cost data only for the factory as a whole, I need to have cost data only for the assembly line number 3. Then only I'll be able to take decision. So decisions have to be with relevant data and relevant cost and relevant qualitative factors. Unless I do construct relevant cost statements, I'm not in a position to evaluate my decision alternatives and decision variables and finally take the decision which will be the right one. I should analyze the segment profit but by versus the goal congruence. It should be possible. Suppose that I'm making loss in product C and product A, B, and D. These 3 products are giving us good profit, but product C is not giving me profit. But even after making loss, I am giving selling this product. Uh, One situation could be that if you do not sell C, going forward, the customers will say that I want one supplier to give me all the 4 products. So I should not be buying only A, B, and D from you. I need the full basket of products. So essentially, what you are talking about, you are talking about the segmentation of profit. At times, it could be possible that your segment of business is doing loss, but you need to continue with that business, and that's what is segmentation analysis for decision management. Analyze the impact of segmented profit. That's very important. Whether that segment profit continue to make loss in that segment is good to go for your business in future, please do that. Loss is not always the bad word if it is going to give us a good return in future. Determine the net return to be realized. assess the need for adding risk premium. If you are taking more risk, please do not do forget to add premium to that, to your return, because high risk and high return, that is what it should be, the mantra of decision making. If you have any conflict within the organization in terms of quantity versus quality and objectives, those conflicts should be resolved. Sensitivity analysis should be done. Of course, this sensitivity analysis is done in the case of a project management, so I don't want to spend much of my time on this. You talk about life cycle of your business. Don't talk about your business. Amazon took a 50 years life cycle of their business, managed to grow over 30 years. As much their sales grew, their share price grew, but in the balance sheet and profit and loss account, they used to report a loss. So decision management is a very complex subject. It is not a situational subject. It is not a present subject. It is not a future subject. It is not risk averse. It is not risk taking. It's a combination of many things. So when you take decision following certain processes. The first process is experimentation process. You do not know what is to be done, so you experiment. Sometime this, sometime that. Sometimes you take a decision by relying on the past. In the past, I took this decision, so let me continue to take that decision. Sometimes you take a creative decision. Creative decision means you thought, I will give this good things, and I think that the customer will give you a good result. So you creatively think of it. You create a product like drones. Drone is a creative thinking product, creative decision making. That if I can produce a product which can serve me multi-purpose. Drone today is used for sanitizing hospitals also. So that's a creative decision to use a product. Research and analysis. You continuously keep on doing market research based on your, suppose you do market research that rural area be in certain states and rural area in certain states, they do not have similar buyer capability and similar buyer pattern. So from data analysis, you push your product to those rural areas where there are customers whose propensity to buy your product is more. So that's the decision you take for marketing in those areas based on your research analysis. It's intuitive analysis. At times you take decisions on the basis of intuition. Here the word intuition means you think of future out of your gut. Like Dhirubhai Ambani said that the price of a telephone call for 3 minutes should be equal to the price of a postcard. पोस्टकार्ड में लिख के जितना खबर भेज सकते हो उतनी खबर बाय फोन आप 3 मिनट में बता दोगे. One postcard was priced at ₹1.20 when I was Reliance Communications head of accounts. Of course, subsequently I became CFO. At that point of time, the 3 minutes call was priced at ₹1.20, which is equal to a postcard cost. So that's the intuitive decision. Choice made with right perspective. Right perspective means Amazon.com thought that I have a long-term perspective. I will keep making loss, but I will keep winning customers. I will give them convenience, and at some point of time, I'll be the principal supplier, and all intermediates will be taken out from the system, and then I'll make profit. That's exactly what has happened. It was a right perspective decision. And this particular slide is very important. Very simplistically, who should take what decision? This is the organization hierarchy. Senior people in the organization should take unstructured decision and non-programmed decision. Say when you go to a mall and when you buy clothes, suddenly the cashier comes up and says, "Sir, इसमें offer है. If you buy one more item, then the third item you will get free. Or if you buy one item, you will get 20% discount from the second item." It is a structured decision that cashier is taking because he is at the lowest level of the organization. But same garment manufacturer like Manusian or Zara, whosoever the organization is, if that particular company, if they want to decide that we are going to produce only men's formal and no casual will be produced. Or same mall decides that we will only give this kind of discount if the total bill size is more than 5,000 rupees per bill. That's an unstructured decision. Certain decisions are non-programmed decisions, like COVID-19. What will happen, how the revival strategies will be done in the COVID-19 pandemic situation? That's a very non-programmed decision, because what is non-programmed? Every day you don't take decision, don't take this decision. Every month you don't take this decision. These decisions are unprogrammed or non-programmed. So non-programmed decisions and unstructured decisions are taken by the senior people of the organization, and structured decisions and programmed decisions are taken. Structured decision and programmed decision are taken by the lower rung of the organization. So these pillars is very important for you to appreciate. So you have to review the organizational philosophy, principles and practices about structured decision and unstructured decision. What decision you want to be taken by whom, and is he properly empowered to take that decision? In terms of decision making, I'll take four more slides and one more story, and then I'll finish. Uh, this we have almost discussed 7WH principles of decision making in terms of business management. What are the latent needs and demands of the business? Who are the present providers? When the product is to be delivered? Where is the universe of customer located? Whose regulations are to be complied with? Whom should the user refer to case of trouble? Whether any better solution is being offered by competitors, how to minimize risk and value destruction. See, this 7WH, whenever you take a decision, you ask 7W oriented question and one how oriented question. As long as you are not getting an appropriate answer against those 7Ws and one H, you should not be taking a decision. At times we suffer from traps. We should not be suffering from traps in decision making. There are 8 types of traps in a decision. Now, first is the anchoring trap. A business manager gets in information first and he gets anchored to that information. That is his anchoring. Or he has taken first decision in the first year. He thought that the continuing forward, the same decision will go. So he should not be having an anchoring trap. Next is status quo. At times people are biased. They can never think that the future will change. Exactly that is what happened in BlackBerry. BlackBerry thought there will be no better technology than my technology. Or Kodak thought that digital filming will never come, although they were the digital photography inventor. But they thought that paper will continue, and they suffered from the status quo, and they are gone today. Some cost, at times we take a decision and spend a lot of capital expenditure. We thought that we will be able to save that capital expenditure by making best use of the capital expenditure, but actually we fail. We cannot. So we try to save our sunk cost and take wrong decision. At times we look for confirming evidence. We have a particular preference of taking a decision, and we are biased to that extent, and we try and take information to confirm that this is the decision which I should take, and this is the information I look for. The moment I get that information, I take the decision, but we do not think that that is not the right decision to take. Next is framing. At times we do not define the problem correctly because we don't have proper information in front of us. We take a decision without defining the problem correctly or defining the opportunity correctly, and we end up taking a decision which doesn't fit into the problem. Subsequently we come to know in hindsight, अरे हमने तो समझा ही नहीं था क्या प्रॉब्लम में मेरे को डील करना था. Sometimes we become overconfident, and if we become overconfident, we are going to take either suboptimal decision or loaded division. We take certain decisions which we think that we will be able to solve the problem with, but at times if overconfidence puts us into trouble. So that's a trap. Prudence. At times we become too conservative. We become too prudent. If we become too conservative and too prudent, we take traditional decisions and make business to suffer. And we suffer from recallability. That is, we give undue weight to something dramatic events. Last year so and so happened, so this year so and so also will happen. So we rely upon this so and so to happen as it happened last year. Or we something which my competitor could take advantage of, I will be able to take advantage of. I do not know how the competitor took advantage of, but I thought I will be able to. A thinking will do not go. So recallability is another trap we suffer from this decision. At times we suffer from rounded rationality. We do not operate at the time of taking decision with proper rationals. We have insufficient information. We do not have relevant criteria to decide what information we take. We do not have relevant criteria to select our options and alternatives. We do not have a proper time. We always are short of time. Without going into detailed analysis, detailed work, because of short of time, and we do not have proper cost analysis in front of us, or we do not have resources to spend for taking the proper decision by analyzing the proper data and collecting the proper data. At times, our quality of data is bad because our people are bad. Our data collection system bad. Our data analysis systems are bad. At times, we ourselves as business managers suffer from mental constraint. We are not happy. We are not motivated. We have our own problems. We have mental constraint to solve problems. At times we suffer from fear psychosis. If I make mistakes, I will be thrown out of employment. So all this rationality gets bounded in a cage. A business manager gets bounded in a cage, as you can see from this particular picture. So what is the result? You compromise on the best possible solution. You don't take the appropriate decision. You go for something which is acceptable to the leadership team. You go to the path of least resistance, and finally you satisfy people, rather optimize the result. Human biases can affect strategic business decisions. So don't try to be biased. Try to be open-minded, have all the data, all the information with you. Whenever you take decision, do not be frustrated. Don't allow your self-frustration to come in front of you. Always rely upon the quality of data. Always look at the data you yourself before you take any decision. Never compromise on anything before taking a decision which is going to be proved costly if it is wrong. And finally, you take a decision on this 6 C's. After this, I'll tell you a story and close the points. This 6C analysis is: construct clear picture of what must be decided, compile list objectives and requirements to be met, collect information alternatives that meet the requirements, compare alternatives that meet the requirements, information that meet the requirements, and alternative ways and means of deciding. I can do it in way A, I can do it in way B. Which path I will reach the destination, going to way B or way A, that is my comparison. Consider what might go wrong factor. This time and again I'm talking about this point. And commit. Finally take a decision and remain committed through it. So these 6 C's are important factor. See, what you are seeing in the picture is a very interesting point, which changes your perception, your goal, your priorities, your style, your acceptability, your demands, your risk, resources, and business specification. This particular chick, when is born from the egg, what do you have to think? You have to see whether it is a hen or a chicken. If it is a hen, you will have to nurture it because it will be the further resource provider. It will lay more eggs. If it is a chicken, that is needed for some time, but whether it will be grown up in the hatchery for mutton purpose, that is flesh selling, that's important to be understood. That's important to be understood. So at every point of time, you have to do a value judgment. whenever your decision yields any result, that result has to be also evaluated for beforehand as you evaluate your decision result. After the decision creates a result, that result also to be evaluated to make use of that result for further generating more better results. So these are very important. So when you take a decision, you take decision considering factors like your perception, your goal, your priorities, your style, your acceptability, demands in the market, risk, resources, and business specific factors. So this is the story I will tell you regarding risk management, because I thought I will not be able to cover the entire aspect of risk management. Here is a story, and that's the finishing line. Here is a story of two competitors who every day, when they are in their respective office, they catch the throat of the CEO of the other organization. They are these two persons are the CEOs of company A and company B. So one day, CEO A and CEO B, when they were playing golf in the golf club on Saturday, they're saying that every day we catch snake of each other when we are in office. We are fierce competitors, but when we are in golf club, we are friends. So why not we do one thing? Why not we go to place away from the city and think about what we can do with our competition. We cannot take this decision while playing golf, so let's go to a jungle resort. So they decided to go to a jungle resort on a Friday night. They packed their bag, hired a jeep which can go through the jungle, and at about 2 o'clock they started from the city, and the jungle resort is supposed to be reached by 6 o'clock. CEO A, to the surprise of CEO B, saw that CEO B is carrying a small bag in addition to his packed suitcase. So CEO A asked, "Why are you carrying the small bag with you? What is there inside?" He said that it's my habit. I keep small things in that bag. So always whenever I go out. So suddenly at about 5:30 in the evening, when they are about 3 to 5 kilometers away from the jungle resort, this heard a wolf is roaring, a very big wolf, and the roaring sound was very, very ferocious. Then COA was telling to the driver, "Please drive fast. We have to reach there. Some wolf is coming." The driver said, "We can't drive fast. This is a jungle area and it's evening. I can't drive fast." Then COA, to his surprise, saw that COB is opening the bag he was carrying inside the jeep. And he saw that he is taking out a sneaker, a running shoe, with a pair of socks. And he was wearing the socks for wearing the sneaker. COA told that, "Hey, you cannot run faster than the wolf in a jungle, even if you wear this sneaker." You know what was the answer of COB to COA? "My objective is not to run faster than the wolf. My objective is to run faster than you, so that wolf get you as his prey, eats you up, and I get away from the risk." So one of the most important consideration for taking decision is to avoid risk management. And of course, risk management comes from corporate governance. So you have to be governance compliant and you have to be risk enabled. So these are the two things which I would request you to keep in mind, that whenever you take a decision, be governance compliant. That means you look at the legal and regulatory boundaries, you be transparent and disclose every information, you be ethics and have a good business practice, and you risk and performance management should be good. You allow your independent directors to be independent, you allow your board to function properly, and you allow your audit committee to function properly, because at the highest level of the organization, business decisions are evaluated and business policies are decided. At times, policies direct the business decisions to be taken and managed ethically and properly. So governance is an important factor and risk management is an important factor. With that, I close my discussion. I hope you have enjoyed and you have spent 2 hours on this video. Hope this video will help you to be a successful business manager through taking successful decisions. If in one decision might these teachings help you to take it correctly and generate value for your organization, I will think that my 2 hours of effort has been useful for you. And I hope you will think that 2 hours of spending time on my video will be useful. Thank you very much indeed. I look forward to have you in my LinkedIn and Twitter connection, because that is the platform through which we can have enduring relationship. Thank you very much indeed.